Well, we shall see. We shall see. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Jimmy, back at you with another episode of Combat and Cryptids. The I just did a post, so I need everyone to listen. Like, if you listen for the first 30 seconds or minute or whatever, then you can tune it out, whatever you want to do. So I made a post on my YouTube. So I got my logo. So I have the old logo, which is the one that's behind me, which is the one I made up in like, I would say like 10, 15 minutes when I first started the channel. Um, and now I have made a new logo that's a lot better. It looks a lot better. I had a guy off of Fiverr make it for me for not that much money, I guess. So he made me this new logo, and I really like this one because it incorporates the combat and cryptid side to it, and it has my name on it. Well, my nickname at least. And we will my wife has already been in contact and reach with everybody as far as merch, as far as making the merch, and we will be making some koozies, some stickers, and I'm gonna start out with a couple shirts first. If you specifically want one, then just DM me on Instagram, and we can try and figure out what we want to do as far as ordering the size and everything like that. And the first 10 people that well, actually, no, I'm not even going to do that. The first 10 people who comment on this video, I will send you a free koozie and a free sticker for the first 10 people to comment on it on this video. And yeah. So if you want to look at the logo's on. I made a post of it on my YouTube. And if you have any questions, just write it in the comments and I'll be happy to help you. Either I will, or my daughter will help you, or my wife will help you. Somebody will help you get to whatever it is you're asking for, what you need help with, anything like that. If you don't have an Instagram or whatever, we can figure out something. Don't worry about that. And I'm starting out with shirts, koozies, and stickers. We'll move on from there depending on how many people want it, because I don't think that many people will want it. But the select few who do, like, we'll see what we can do as far as trying to help everybody out, get some of the new logo stuff. And yeah, that's about it for that. We are going to get in today's subject, and it's kind of a creepy one. I don't know. I saw a comment about it before about something that they wanted to talk about. So this week's what the hell is up? Oh, my friend Francisco made me this. So he makes boards like cornhole boards. So he made me this, and yeah, I just thought I'd put it in there. I thought it'd be pretty cool. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody, all the new subscribers, anybody who's watching, still watching, whatever it is. I appreciate all you guys. We did hit over 200 subscribers, which is, I mean, that's a big milestone for me. It might not be for anybody else, but it is for me because I work full time, and this is just something I like to do my for fun, a little hobby. So I really appreciate it, guys. I really do. So thank you. But today we will be talking. See, I'm trying to get rid of those ums. They still slip in there every now and then, but I got rid of most of them. Today we're going to be talking about. I got a few stories. One's really long, and one seemed to have a lot of traction and a lot of people talking about it. So we'll go over that one. But this week's subject is going to be the legendary Goatman, discovering the stories behind the lore. Obviously, we have Frank here, or Bernard, or whatever you want to call him. He's pretty cool. He's always listening, down for the good vibes. So the legendary Goatman. So if you, I mean, everyone has probably seen pictures of this guy. You've had to have seen pictures of this guy because this picture is like a very well-known picture. It's basically a half man, half goat, demonic, whatever you want to call it, but it looks creepy as hell. And it's just not. It's just some of these stories. I'm like, I haven't read the one story, the Anasani story of the Goatman, but it's really, really long. But it basically goes into their encounter, and then I have another encounter, and we'll talk about those. So I haven't read those. I haven't pre-read them. I skimmed through them to make sure that they were like something interesting or viable or whatever it is. So those are the two. So we'll get the backstory of them, and then we'll go into those two stories. And that'll close it out, guys. So, hope you guys enjoy it. So, when it comes to the urban legend that have the potential to fill your heart with horror, premonition, it's difficult to top the enduring legend of the Goatman. Over time, the legend has endured thanks to enthusiastic lore, media reports, and glorified personal accounts. The Goatman legend has many versions and variations, but all of them exhale the dangerous and horrific nature of the creature at the center of the story. If you believe in the legends, the Goatman is a creature best avoided. An encounter with the Goatman can give rise to all sort of tragedy. The center of the Goatman legend is Prince George Country in Maryland, in the United States. Arising in the turbulent 1970s, the Goatman legend is sure to satisfy horror, aficionados. I was like, what is that word? And lore enthusiasts alike. It has inspired Goatman stories, films, videos, video games, and more. Let us take a look on the background and explore why the Goatman legend is such an interesting and enduring piece of lore. The background of the Goatman story. The year was 1970, and the setting was the seemingly innocuous Beltsville Agriculture Research Center. Legend has it that an enthusiast researcher decided to carry out some less than savory experiments on goats. Something went wrong during the experiment, and the researcher transformed into a hideous creature with the grotesque upper body of a goat. Another version of the origin story talks about Stephen Fletcher, a doctor who supposedly used goat DNA to experiment on his assistant, William Lotsford. Other versions of the origin story involve Native American beliefs that Okie, a goat herder, came back as an evil spirit to teach a lesson to children in the area who had reportedly killed his goats. Many families also recount that the Goatman legend began as a word of mouth tale to keep the children in line as a scare tactic. The territory of the Goatman seemed to cover a large area of Maryland, including the aforementioned Prince George's County, Beltsville, Mitchellville, Upper Marble, and Bowie, or Bowie, however you want to say it. Often, when searching for the Goatman story myth, it becomes synonymous. Oh my God, I can't say that word. With the Pope Lick Monster of Louisville, Kentucky. There was a short film released in 1988 that featured the monster. News about this particular version of the Goatman sometimes involved people exploring that unsafe bridge with injuries or even accidental death. When people trespass looking for the creature, don't go trespassing. If it says no trespassing, you probably shouldn't go. Who is the Goatman? As legend has it, the Goatman is a singularly frightening creature that is half man and half goat. Apparently, the goat roams the streets carrying an axe while shrieking in a voice reminiscent of a goat. How does a goat sound? It's like that? Yeah, pretty much. Or is that a sheep? I don't know. He also takes great pleasure in killing and eating dogs and also kills small children for pleasure. The legend of the Goatman found traction in the Prince George's County around 1970 after several incidents of dogs disappearing or being killed in the neighborhood. This led to discussions and takes about the Goatman being circulated. Graffiti attributed to the Goatman appearing in multiple locations and the police receiving news of multiple Goatman sightings. Reportedly, it all started with the disappearance of the puppy called Ginger, which belongs to the Edward family of an old Bowie. After a thorough search, the body of the puppy was found in the Fletcher Road area, missing its head. The incident of decapitation was quickly linked to the Goatman as many teenage women, including April, the daughter of Edward's family, reported seeing a large creature and hearing strange noises the night Ginger disappeared. The sightings reported a creature that walks on its hind legs like an animal. After the dog was found in the sorry state, the legend of the Goatman was immediately legitimized with an article in the Washington Post. The people who found the corpse of the dog were reportedly interested in the Goatman legend and had often gone on the hunt looking for this mystical creature. Several detailed sightings of the Goatman were also reported during the time. Late versions of the event also report many sightings while also perpetrating the notion that the Goatman often attacks couples and lovers, who would often venture there to find couples to scare. Jesus Christ. Surprisingly, there is another Goatman legend with no connection to the original. This story is about the Goatman in Texas. Legend has it this Goatman haunts the old Alton Bridge, which is known as the Goatman's Bridge. The bridge stands between Copper Canyon and Denton, and the Goatman is rumored to make his home in the dense jungle nearby. This is a grievous story involving racial violence where a black goat farmer was kidnapped and killed by Klansmen in the area. They then killed the rest of the family. The spirit of the Goatman, only could theorize, roams that area looking for revenge. Locals still caution people about the Goatman in Texas, while with a dire warning that the Goatman will appear if a car passes the bridge without the lights on. People have also reported feeling grabbed or touched, and some people have been targeted with rock projectiles. It's either that or somebody just don't like you at all. The legend and stories of Goatman endure. While the source of the Goatman legend might make for fascinating reading, the actual circumstances are far from savory. Couples with the eerie atmosphere of the Goatman's favorite places, the Goatman legend can still be a ripe option for horror fans looking to go in search of a real life monster. Dear Lord, that's crazy. Well, if that's the way to hook you, I mean, I don't know what else will, but that's pretty crazy. So I have not read this story, but it is long. So I figured we start. Yeah, we'll start out with the longer one, I guess. That'd probably be the best route, and then we'll go with the shorter one. I think the next one was a little shorter, but this is basically called the Anansi's Goatman story, and this one was written. Who the hell wrote this one? It doesn't say. Nope. Creepy Pasta Wiki. That's who. So, yeah. Shout out to them. The first part's a little weird to. It basically says, here's my story. I'm 16. I'm black and have a family down in Alabama. They have a farm on a huge amount of land down in Huntsville. My uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put in the woods for hunting and camping. Down south, cousins suggest that we go out there to camp. Now, I'm a city kid from Chicago, so they tease the fuck out of me. Collect food. They collect food, kill pigs and some chickens, and bring necessities to camp out for the few days. We get to the camp, and it's obvious something is weird. And this picture is a known one too, because this one is deep in the woods, and they see like a picture of like it almost looks like a dog man, but I don't think it ends up being that. So they get to the camp, and it's obviously something's weird. It has this weird electric smell, like right before a storm, like the ozone. We think nothing of it and unpack and go down to a little creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white guy and a white teenager come out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arms and says hello. Asks us what we're doing this far back in the woods. We tell him about my uncle, who he knows, and says we're camping out. He tells us we need to be real careful out here and stick together. There was a big animal in the woods. His son, who is my age, asked if he can stay and hang out with us. And he's like, okay. So you tell your son that you that there's some big ass animal in the woods, and then you say that he can go and spend time with kids he doesn't even know, I guess. So it was green texting, so it's just written weird. I don't know why he wrote it like that, but whatever it is. So now this is just like normal, I guess normal conversation now. So we end up playing football, dicking around with me. There's the white kid Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and then 4 of their friends. In total, there were 5 girls and 6 boys. We're all around the age of 15 to 17. We ended up just messing around that day, so we head back to the camp, pulling out some stuff for a campfire. Even though the trailers both had kitchenettes, Tanner says that his family's property sits up against my uncle's. He wants to run home and ask his dad if he can come out camping with us. My cousin Rooster says he's going to go with him since it's going to get dark soon. One of the girls also wants to tag along. It's about 7 o'clock. I mean, I guess at that age, when I was that age, it was very commonplace, I guess, to just go out and just like right before the evening and stuff like that. 'Cause you didn't really worry about those things. Like if you're in the woods and stuff like that, you don't really worry about those things. So it started getting pretty dark. They take flashlights and take the trail toward Tanner's property. The rest of us chill. We make some s'mores, drinks, kiss on the girls. About 30 or 40 minutes later, there's the smell of ozone again. You could smell it over the smell of the fire, we had started. This real nasty coppery smell, like right after you've had a nosebleed and it stopped. It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was a nasty metallic back on your throat smell. We immediately think that it's some kind of electrical malfunction or someone's left a hot plate on or some shit. We search the trailers and nothing is on, and we can all smell it. All of a sudden, we hear people booking down the path towards us, and Rooster, Tan, and the girl all come running into the clearing, out of breath. They don't even break stride. They all run into the trailer, right by where the fire is. We all get the fuck out of there and into the trailers. They end up calming down. Even Rooster is crying his fucking eyes out at this point. All the while, the fire is guttering lower and lower. So my other cousin says, fuck it. And we're about to go outside to get the generator out of the shed between the two trailers. Tanner goes, hell no. Lock the front door. Ain't nobody else going outside. He's been crying too, and his eyes are bloodshot and puffy, and his pants are dirty as shit. He goes on to tell us that he went up to the house. His father said sure, he could go out camping, but to make sure that they were careful on the way back, that maybe they should take one of the hunting rifles just in case. Evidently, Tanner had seen something in the yard a few days before. One of their pigs had come up, ripped up and half eaten. They assumed it was just one of the big cats or coyotes, even though they don't usually fuck with live animals. He had gone upstairs and packed his stuff and told his dad they would be okay with the rifles because coyotes avoid people. So they started walking back toward where they were camping. So Rooster finally stops crying and shaking. The girl already had, but she was just started staring out the window with a dumb look on her face. He says they had gotten halfway into the woods towards the camp when they started to hear shit in the forest. It was almost pitch black by this time, so they weren't sure at first what the fuck it was. The girl says that she heard something in the bushes right off the trail, and they all beamed their flashlights over there. There was something standing back in the woods in a little hollow. Rooster said they shouted at him and told him they were scaring the fuck out of them and what a dick he was. He says that's when he realized the guy was facing away from them, so they keep walking and they started smelling like nasty coppery ozone smell. They said they'd look off into the forest on the opposite side and say dude standing in the forest backwards slightly closer to the path. So now they start power walking and Tan keeps going. I should have taken the fucking rifle. As they're telling the story, the smell is still super strong even inside the cabin. Jesus Christ. I don't give a shit if this is made up. This is a very well written story. They said that after they started walking faster, a kind of low gibbering had started coming from both sides of the woods. And as they started booking it back to the trailer, the girl said she had flashed her flashlight out. She flashed her flashlight out in the woods to the side of them and had seen something jerking itself through the woods. The gibbering just got louder and louder. When they could see the light from our campfire, something had come out of the woods about 40 yards behind them on the track. They had just flat out ran as hard as they could to the trailer. So we're out in the fucking woods and we're assuming at this point some rednecks or shit is trying to fuck with us. All of a sudden, now keep in mind these are black people. All of a sudden, my other cousin, Junior, starts going on about how he went to school with a native kid that was telling us about the Goatman or some shit. We promptly tell him to shut the fuck up because we don't want any spooky talk right now. But he just keeps going on and on about how it's fucking Goatman and how we're in the woods and blah, blah, blah. Now, all the time, I had never heard of the Goatman or any of that. But then a couple years ago, the year before I graduated from college, I had a minim for a room. What's a minim? Like somebody like who does like goes and like preaches and stuff like that in other countries maybe. And I end up asking him about it. And to sum it up, it's basically a fucking man with the head of a goat, and he can shapeshift and he gets among groups of people to terrorize them. It's also supposed to be a kind of like the Wendigo, and it's bad mojo to even talk about, or even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I didn't know this back when I was 16. So my cousin is going. The goat man's going to get it and fucking going to get in and fucking get us. The girls are all terrified, and my cousins and I are all fucking trying to figure out if it's just some hillbillies or it's some kind of animal. So all of a sudden, the smell just goes away. Like to this day, I haven't I haven't even experienced anything like it. Usually, smells fade away or lessen. It just literally was there 1 second and then not the second. So it's after an hour, making it around 9 or 10. We stopped shitting bricks enough to go back outside and stoke the fire again. We figure it was just some assholes trying to fuck with us. So we don't go back home because we think if we do, they'll chase us through the woods or some crazy shit. Nothing else weird happens that night, and we stay another night. And for the main part of the night, nothing happens. At about 1 in the... Man, these kids are... They got some cojones on them, don't they? I'd have been gone that first night. Nah, there's no way I'm staying out there. We're outside getting drunk and telling ghost stories. As someone is finishing some two spooky stories, I don't remember what about, the smell comes back. It's so fucking strong that one of the girls literally starts vomiting. Sure it's not from the drinking, maybe? I stand up and you can actually feel how clammy the air is. I say we should get inside. This isn't right. We should have just fucking left. We all go back inside and we're standing around. My cousin just keeps going on about how it's a Goatman. And my cousin Rooster tries to shut him the fuck up. And all the while, I'm just feeling that something is wrong. And I can't figure out what the fuck it is. We end up sitting in there for a while. The smell is just as strong. And we're terrified and all huddled in the camper. We end up cooking brats for everybody because nobody wants to go outside. It's one of those 4-pack brats. We have a total of 3 packs. I grill them up on the stove and give everybody a hot dog. I get mine. After a while, one of my cousins gets up and goes over to the pot to get another one. He starts grumbling about how I get 2 brats and everybody else got one. I look at him like he's fucking stupid. I tell him that everybody's got one because there's only 12 brats. If he wants more, he should open up a new pack and cook some more. That's when the girl that had been out with Rooster and Tan just starts screaming, "Oh Jesus, oh Lord, get it out." She's crying and shivering, and then it dawns on the cousin standing up. What the fuck is wrong? Me and him both glance around the room, and then I feel my heart fucking sinking. I run the fuck out of the cabin, and girls run out with us. The trailer door is banging against the side of the trailer as everyone books it out of the cabin. One of my cousin friends asks us what the fuck was wrong. I started counting us. There was only 11 now. I shit you not. My cousin verified there had been 12 people in the cabin, but being that everybody didn't really know each other well, nobody had really noticed the whole fucking time that there was an extra person. What? And then realized earlier that I kind of noticed something was off. You know how when you're just dicking around and you have a good time that you don't sweat the small shit? You don't always keep track of certain stuff. I'm dead sure that someone else had been in the trailer with us, and they had been there for at least a fucking day, eating with us. What makes it worse, I could figure out which one because I don't think anyone ever actually interacted with the other person, the goat man. The girl kept praying to Jesus. We're all sitting outside. Eventually, we get big ass sticks and go back into the cabin, but there's nobody in there. We count again, and there's 11 people. We go back in the trailer and lock the door. We explain what the fuck happened, and the girl says that she realized too, and she realized that, and that when he was about to say something, the person sitting next to her had grabbed her leg hard and leaned over toward her and said something she couldn't understand. So we are pretty much scared as fuck as we huddle together and I fall asleep. When I wake up, the sun is just coming up and half the people are asleep and the other half are packing our shit up. We all want to walk back home, but like 4 people want to stay until the sun is all the way up, and some people think we're just fucking around and still want to stay at the trailers. I just want to get the fuck out of the woods. The girl's name was Kira, the one that the goat man had touched. Anyway, I asked her if she really thinks it was something bad, and she says she just wants to go home, and she doesn't want to be out in the woods alone for another night. So we decide to split up. The 4 that want to go can go, but I have to stay because I have the keys to the cabin, and it's my uncle's, and I have to lock up. I'm super pissed at this point because I feel like people aren't taking the shit seriously, and I definitely didn't want to be out in the woods for another night. I spend the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people, now 4 girls and 4 guys, to get the fuck out of Dodge. Tanner leaves them with a rifle and says he's going to be back. So there are just 7 of us left by 4 p.m. At around 5 p.m., he hasn't made it back yet, and we're getting extremely fucking antsy. And the only reason I stopped begging him to go back because he wants to get a gun. It's about 5:30 p.m. or so when the one cousin that didn't stay says the girl Kira is outside. We all look outside, and sure enough, she's standing by the fire pit with her back to the cabin. What the fuck is going on? I'm thinking to myself, if she was so fucking scared, why the hell would she come back? And then I get this nasty feeling in my gut. Keep in mind, the whole time this coppery smell has been gone, and now I realize I can smell just a twinge of it. I say this to the rest of them and everybody, and those are the people that wanted to stay in the woods after we had the goddamn Goatman in our midst, is laughing at me and asking if they set this up to scare them. I'm looking at them like I'm not fucking bullshitting you all at all right now. I asked them why the fuck I would play that. So one of the girls goes outside to Kira. She gets halfway to her and stops cold. Kira starts heaving. I don't know how the fuck to describe it. Sort of like if someone with their back turned was laughing without actually making any sound. It was this fact that made me realize there was no fucking sound in the whole woods. It was dead silent. This was later. This was like later in September, so it was still fairly hot at the time. But it was super chilly some days, and you could usually hear big ass geese honking or some kind of birds or squirrels chit chatting. So I step out the door and tell her to come back in the fucking trailer right goddamn now. I like this guy's lingo. His talk is pretty good at telling the story. She backs up into the trailer and we lock the fucking door. We pull down all the shades except for one and put a guy there in the chair to watch her. She stands there for 20 minutes or so. The guy turns to say that she's still there, and there's a huge fucking bang on the door. Boom! We all jump the fuck up and scramble around the living room of the trailer. This banging is super fucking loud. So now my cousin is holding one of the girls, and the other two are kind of giggling with nervous laughter. And me and the other two guys are shitting bricks. Then we hear Tan. He's screaming, "Let me the fuck in, stop playing." So we go over to the door and open it. He stumbles in with a rifle. There's nobody else outside. Evidently, he had walked up to the campsite. Nothing weird happened in the forest, but he had seen a girl, mind you. He said it was not Kira standing out there. When he had gotten to the edge of the clearing, she had turned toward him with a slack-jawed look and stared him down, slowly tracking him as he walked around the outside of the clearing towards the camp. He said it wasn't until he was almost halfway through the trailer he had realized that she was getting closer to him. She had started off by the fire, and without him even seeing her move, she had been turning, inching closer. He said he had just ran the rest of the way back to the cabin. Oh, that is the worst thing ever. So when you're outside and you think, like, you always get that feeling of like, I'm terrified of the dark. When you always get that feeling like as you get closer to something, or as you're coming up the stairs, or you're turning, that something is behind you and it's going to grab you, and to think like the door that you're going to turn is locked. Oh god, I'd probably die, to be honest. Like that I would literally die. um so he just ran the rest of the way back to the cabin, thinking it would be open. And when he got to the door, it was locked. He turned, and it was about half the distance to the door. He looked around the room and then gets super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers in my ear, "You know, there are only 7 of us in here." Oh my God, 7 of us in here right now. I get that feeling where your stomach drops to your nuts. It had been back inside the trailer while we were sorting out who was going where, and then when we all went outside to talk earlier, it had just slipped right back in. Oh my god. So when all of them split off and you had 8 in the house, now there's wait, so he left, making it 7. So Tanner left to go get the rifle, making it 7 in the room. He comes back and there's still 7 people in the room. Yo, either they can't count, or I don't know what is going on, but this is insane. Um, I gotta read that one. He looks around the room and then gets super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers in my ear, "You know there are only 7 of us in here, right?" I get that feeling where your stomach drops to your nuts. It had been back inside the trailer while we were sorting out who was going where. And then when we all went outside to talk earlier in the day, it had just slipped right back in. We looked out the window and there's nobody out there. So we recount everybody, and then basically I go over and ask everyone how many people were here earlier. And everybody says 8. I say, "Well, how many are here now?" And they all do a count and they realize there are now only 7 people in the cabin. So Tan had brought back a couple boxes of ammo in his rifle. And he had told his dad that there was some kind of animal in the forest because he didn't think his dad would believe him if he said it was the Goatman. He said that his cousin is supposed to be coming down in a few hours, and that in the morning we could all go back to his place and his cousin will drive us home. Now I'm really fucking terrified because at least now I'm really fucking terrified, but I at least feel better because we can be American and shoot the fuck out of whatever it is that comes back. But then my cousin gets in this huge argument with one of the girls because she thinks that I'm trying to be funny and prank them, and that she's getting really scared and that I'm not funny. He keeps telling her I'm not that kind of person. He says, "Well, how do we know that the girl wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Could be, or it's really the Goatman. How do we know that that is it is the real Tanner and the Goatman just didn't kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun?" So we're fucking getting in this huge argument about this. I mean, that's normal though. I mean, you would think like that's pretty normal to be. And I think like when you let your mind get taken over by these things, and you just let them like then like your mind will make up so much shit, and then you'll overlook the things that you normally wouldn't overlook, like eight people in your house. Like you would notice that. So yeah, I don't know. That's a little fucking weird. But I mean, it's normal. People chaos when chaos happens, people freak the fuck out. Um, so yeah, so we could seriously be in danger because at the very least, someone has been sneaking themselves in our fucking trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. And at worst, something bad is in the forest fucking with us. One of the girls is crying and saying she wants to go right now. You guys had the chance to leave. And we're trying to tell her we shouldn't because none of us are walking through the woods in the middle of the night. At this point, the sun is starting to go down and it's getting a little cloudy out. We eat something and turn on the radio for a while, but we can't really get a station out there with anything decent. So we turn it off at about the same time that Tan's cousin shows up. He was like 19, I think, at this point. The sun is just barely over the horizon. He says one of those heavy duty lantern flashlights and another rifle. He walks up to the trailer and we whisper to Tan, asking him if he's sure that his cousin, is he sure that his cousins, and he says yes. Oh, is he sure that that is his cousin? Okay, that makes more sense. The guy looks behind him and all around the camp, then walks in. He kind of glances at all of us and looks a little confused. He says, "Where's your other little buddy at?" I figured she would meet up at the cabin if she's a little slow or something. He also asked whether we had been cooking blood in the cabin because it smelled like blood and hot pans all the way up to the trail. We were all like fucking nope. But we asked him what the fuck he's talking about with the girl he saw. He came down the same trail Tan had been using, and he had come up, and one of your guy's buddies, standing in the middle of the trail, looking at him slack jawed. He had asked her a bunch of questions, but all she did was look at him. Then she smiled at him, and he said, kept walking. She couldn't seem to keep up with him and kept lagging a little behind. He said he asked her if she was hurt or something and if she needed any help, but she had continued to stare. Eventually, he had been walking and turned around the bend in the trail, but when he turned around and went back to see if she was okay, the trail was empty. He assumed she had taken some shortcut through the woods to our trailer. We tell him the whole story of what's been going on. I half expect him to say we're full of shit, but he just listened and then sat down on the couches in the living room. Tanner's cousin gets back to the girl. He says when she kept trying to lag behind him, it was kind of weirded him the fuck out. So he kept trying to keep her in front of him. But no matter how slow he walked, she was always lagging a little behind. And then he smelled this nasty smell, and it got stronger as he got to the camp. Eventually, it got really strong. She had said something really low that he didn't catch. And when he turned around, she had been right the fuck up on him, and he stepped back from her. It was at this point he asked her if she was okay, and if she wasn't, him to carry on her back the rest of the way. She just kept staring. He said he reached out for her as in to grab her on the shoulder, but that must have misjudged the distance because she was off to the side where he had put his hand, like she had moved while he was looking dead at her. What the fuck? So at this point, we know that this shit's real unless Tan is playing a joke, which we can't tell. We can tell he's not because he's almost pissing his pants. So they load up the rifles. We eat some more. They always eat. We just kind of sit around and so I would sh- so I would lose my shit for the rest of my life. At round 11, the stink of copper turns into actual nasty, gross blood like smelling. Like cooking blood and singed hair, Tan and his cousin Reese get the fuck up and instantly grab the rifles. There's like a half knocking, half clawing at the door, and I shit you not. There's a voice, and it sounds like when you see those YouTube cats and dogs whose owner teach them how to talk. It says it in this halting, weirdly toned voice. Let me the fuck in. Stop fucking playing. It made my fucking nuts creep up against my body, and one of the girls just started crying and calling on Jesus. It was so fucking obviously not a person talking. It didn't have the right cadence, and that's some shit that I never realized until that moment. But all people have a certain cadence when they talk. No matter what language, all people have a certain kind of rhythm to talking. This shit didn't have any kind of cadence or rhythm. One of those YouTube cats that was like, the fuck it sounded like outside the door. So now I'm full on terror mode. We keep yelling outside, who is it? Stop fucking around, man. And just keep saying, in, let me the fuck in, for 15 minutes. Jesus Christ. It sounded like the most just not funny, sorry for being on a tangent, but if you can't imagine how that shit sounded, then you can't imagine how fucked up the whole situation was. So then the smell goes away for a while, and for the next hour or so, you can hear someone basically creeping around in the woods and shit. Every couple of minutes, it'll come back in the door and say something. Finally, when the smell fades away, it's around 2 in the morning right now. Reese says, man, fuck this, and opens the door and walks outside with the rifle. He fires a shot in the air and says something to the effort, in the name of Jesus Christ, go away. He fires two more times, and then from the woods, right up against the river across the trailer, it sounds like something is slowly gibbering and hooting. Then it starts screaming, and it sounds almost like a woman and a cat in a bag screaming together. Like, I seriously had never heard any of shit like this. And you can hear the brush over that, the way they start to shake. Reese fires over in the tree line and then starts backing into the house. We lock the door, and we can hear this shit keening and screaming. Reese says something had come out of the bushes super low to the ground and was crawling towards the cabin. He had shot at it. Pretty much that's how the rest of the night went. It was literally screaming constantly for the next 2 hours, and we could hear shit moving out in the tree line. But it never came back up to the cabin until everyone had finally fallen asleep. Tan had been sitting in the chair, watching the door with his rifle. Nobody else heard or saw this. He told me that 2 days later, after the whole thing was over. He said he had been nodding off after screaming and noises finally stopped, and he had been almost asleep when he saw someone come out of the bathroom and then lay down in the middle of the floor and go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us and had nodded off. Then he said he then he said he kind of realized something was wrong, and while pretending to be sleeping, he counted us. There was 9 people in the cabin, and he basically didn't want to try to shoot at the fucking thing in the cabin and have it kill us all, and there or have Reese wake up and start shooting, and then we kill ourselves. So he just stayed awake all night pretending to be asleep. He said sometimes it would stand up and kind of do this weird jittery thing or heave like it was laughing, but then it would lay back down. The story closes pretty weak because, from my perspective, nothing happened. We woke up and I noticed that Tan was a little jittery and that he was avoiding looking at all of us. But we ate some breakfast, packed up, and started walking to the house. He stayed last night in the cabin. He stayed last in the cabin and said he'd lock up and bring my uncle's keys to just start walking and he'd catch up. While I didn't realize, really want to fucking do, which I really didn't want to fucking do. We go a little bit up the path, and when he came running up, basically he just jogged back to the house. His cousins took us home. There was a window in the bathroom. Tan had gone back to the lockup and looked in there. We were too stupid to lock a screenless window. The window was fucking up when we got in, when he went in there. I'm guessing it had to have been doing that all along, waiting for us to fall asleep or slip up and then get in among us. It walked with us all the goddamn way back to the house. And then he said it lagged to the back of the group and looked him dead in the eyes before walking into the woods. Oh my God. Number one, that is, I don't care if it's fake or if it's real, but that is one well written story. Like the person who told it, the person who talked about it, whatever it is. This is like that was probably one of the best stories ever right there. That was crazy. What are your guys' opinion on that one? If you listen, if you're all the way up to this point, please let me know because that was insane. To have, I take a drink. So to have someone be in there with you and you guys don't even notice it, like that's crazy, insanely crazy. So yeah, my God. And I don't even really know if I want to talk about the next one. Like I think I just want to end it on like I have another one, but I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to go over that one. Where's it at? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. Is that it? No, it's not. It's this one. Yeah, I don't know. Like that one's good. Like that was a very good. Like if you weren't interested in the Goatman before, like that would make you interested in it. Like 100% right there. That one story. Just to think that that kind of number one, it shapeshift into a person, and you guys didn't know each other, so you don't know if it's um like if they're part of your group or whatever it is. You're just kind of going with counts and stuff like that. But he not only did it once, twice, but the motherfucker did it a third time and walked all the way back with you guys, and no one knows. Yeah, I mean we'll see. I think I'm just gonna end it on that one, guys, for sure, 100%. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you liked it and you want to hear more like that, please just let me know in the comments. And other than that, remember the merch. First 10 people to comment, I'll send you a free sticker, free koozie, and yeah, we will go from there. And if you have any questions about the merch or questions about anything, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm like one of us will answer something. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that one, and I will catch you guys on the next one.